Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Elizabeth and today I thought I would share with you a short tutorial on a sun salutation. In most yoga classes, whether you practice at home or if you go to a class, there will be variations of sun salutations. And sometimes it's nice to know other options that you can take rather than maybe following along with what your teacher instructs you to. You might not be feeling super energetic to go all the way through Chaturanga. You might want to take it a little easier in a child's pose. So today's tutorial is all about the different options that you can take to make your yoga practice your own. So when you're ready, find some space. Doesn't have to be too big. As you can see, I'm still on my makeshift mat. Roll it out and let's get started. We start at the top of the mat in a posture called mountain pose, Tadasana. The feet are underneath the hips. Sometimes you can have your toes touching. It's whatever feels comfortable. You want to feel stable in your mountain pose. And we relax the hands alongside the body, just shifting the shoulders back and down. Maybe closing the eyes for a second just to find your balance, your foundations. There are several movements and each one is coordinated with the breath. You have an inhale for one movement and exhale for another. But again, don't get too caught up in whether you should be inhaling or exhaling. Just see if you can have one movement per breath. So from our mountain pose, we take a breath in and lift our arms up towards the ceiling. As we exhale, we touch the palms together and draw them down to the heart. And as we do so, hinge from the hips, gently folding forward. Have as deep a bend as you need to as we slide the hands either down the legs or touch the fingertips to the floor, letting the head feel heavy. Our next inhale brings us up to this flat back, halfway position. And as we breathe out, bending the knees if we need to get the hands flat to the floor, stepping it back into a plank position. Now for me, this is very early in the morning. I haven't done any movement, so I'm feeling very, very stiff. So my forward folds are going to have a really generous bend in the knees. So from here, we drop down onto our knees. Now this can be the tricky bit. Keep your elbows as close to the body as you can, almost as though they're grazing the side of the ribs. And we lower the chest down towards the floor. And when we get there, we just draw ourselves through, finding this low cobra position. If your back is feeling very tight, we can bring the elbows underneath the shoulders and find a more gentle variation in this Sphinx pose. So just listen to what your body is telling you. You might want to come into Cobra. You might want to take it a little bit easier in Sphinx. From here, bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, we come onto all fours, tucking our toes and lifting up into a downward facing dog. Letting that head feel heavy. Look forward towards the hands, see which way you're going, stepping our feet, taking as many steps as you need to get to the top of the mat. Fold when we get there again, bend into those knees if you need to, and then push through the feet and reach the arms up as we touch the palms together and bring our hands towards our heart. And that is one round of a very, very basic sun salutation. Now, as you may have noticed, when I stand up from a forward fold, I'm using my hands on my legs, and that's not a bad thing. My back is quite sore. So to just root down through my feet and lift myself up using my glutes and my core can be a little bit tricky, especially first thing in the morning. So don't ever think you are doing something wrong because you're not doing it the traditional way. Whatever works for you in that moment is a good thing. So we're going to flow through that again, and then I'm going to show you some other options. So we start in our mountain pose, finding some softness through the upper body. We inhale as we lift the arms. We exhale as we touch our palms together, hinging from the hips, folding forward. Inhale, finding that flat back position. And as we exhale, hands to the mat, stepping it back into plank, trying to alternate which foot you step back with. Lower the knees to the floor, keeping the shoulders soft and the elbows, the arms close to the body. We lower down and come through into our low cobra, relaxing the shoulders, trying not to let that head sink down into the shoulders. And then from here, tucking the toes, lifting through plank or coming onto the knees first before we find our downward facing dog. Taking a moment in downward dog with the fingers wide, the feet at hip width, sending that gaze back towards the knees, finding the balance between the hands and the feet, lifting the hips high, and then looking forward to the top of the mat. Step 1 foot, 2 feet, little fold forward. Inhale, push it up, touch the palms together, and the hands rest towards the heart. I'm now going to show you 2 other variations. One is going to be the more challenging, and then the other one is more restful. Always starting in our mountain pose. So this is the slightly more challenging one. If you know you have a decent amount of upper body strength, you can keep your elbows in close to the body. Rather than lowering down knees, chest, chin, we are going to lower down through a plank posture called Chaturanga. Only do that if you know you're not compromising your shoulders or your core. So if you know you can hold a strong plank and you're feeling quite strong in your shoulders, then this might be the option for you. And again, we don't have to do it all the time. You can always alternate between which variation of a salutation that you do. Okay, so we start in our mountain. Moving with the breath as we inhale and reach the arms up. As we exhale, hinging from the hips, folding forward. So this is my 3rd one today. The hamstrings are feeling a little bit looser. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, fingers nice and wide. Find that foundation underneath the hands before we step it back into plank. So from our plank position, we are going to lower down. Rather than dropping onto the knees, we're going to lower down through this plank posture called Chaturanga. We roll onto the very tips of the toes, keeping those elbows tight, and we lower down towards the earth. When we hover, we turn over on the tops of the feet and we draw ourselves into this posture called up dog. So the feet and the hands are touching the floor, but the thighs are lifted, staying strong through our core. As we exhale, we just roll over onto the soles of the feet and we find our downward facing dog. Looking forward towards the top of the mat. We step forward, exhale as we fold, and then inhale, lift. Palms touch, we exhale our hands towards the heart. So that was the more vigorous or possibly advanced variation of our sun salutation. Just let my breath return to normal. We're now going to do one more and take it the other way. Make it really, really gentle. Always starting in Tadasana, palms facing forward, finding those foundations as we breathe in, rooting down through the feet as we extend up through the fingertips, and as we exhale, hinging from those hips, forward folding, letting the head feel heavy, keeping that bend in the knees if you want to. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, really bend the knees to get the hands to the floor, and we step it back into our plank. So we're not going to stay long in the plank. We're going to drop straight down onto the knees. And this time pushing the bottom back towards the heel. So coming into a child's pose. So missing out that whole dropping to the knees, sending the chest down, coming forward and through. And it's a good opportunity to stay here as long as you like if you want a little rest. From your child's pose, bring yourself back up onto all fours, tuck the toes, coming into our downward dog, looking towards the hands and stepping to the top of the mat. So previously I have just shown you one big step because I have that movement in my hips where I can step all the way to the top of the mat. You might not be able to do that, or you might be feeling a little tight in the hips, in which case we take as many steps as we need to, keeping a bend in those knees to get ourselves to the top of the mat. And then when we get there, lifting ourselves up whichever way we choose, into our mountain pose, palms touch, and we draw the hands to the heart. And there you have it. 2 or 3 variations of a very simple, generalized sun salutation. And from this, we can add onto it. A lot of our flows are based through the salutation, and we might move from down dog into a warrior. We might move into a triangle pose, and all of these postures can be linked together into what we term a flow. And all that is where we move with our breath. The breath guides the movement, and we flow through our practice, giving ourselves a strong, flexible body and a nice, still mind. I hope you enjoyed that little short tuition on our mat today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Remember to press the like button, could be over there, like button, subscribe button, and I shall see you on the mat again very soon. Thank you.